There you go, and you are live.
Brilliant. So thank you very much, everyone. Great to be here to talk to you. Well, what I'm going to do is just go through what we think from the TSC should be core project evaluation criteria. And we would strongly encourage everyone who is evaluating a proposal to evaluate against these criteria and to be as comprehensive as possible. We don't think you can do a proper job for something as important and critical as this without considering these evaluation criteria for every proposal. So what is the scope of core infrastructure as defined within the TSC remit? So we define this as being the continuity of Cardano, which is the unbroken and consistent existence or operation of something over time. And what we are defining as Cardano continuity is any approved technical services that are needed to build or fix current and future areas of Cardano blockchain. And that can include new development, such as CIP 1694 governance software, updates to components or improvements in testing, but it is narrowly scoped. It's not intended to be a fully general scope. Anything which is not within the scope defined here, the TSC would not consider to come within the core budget. So one of the questions which is going to be put will be what is core. We need to be quite selective about that because there are limited resources to handle core definitions. So to visualize this, we can see that there are four components. First, which is incredibly important, is Cardano maintenance, which is required to keep the current mainnet tool technology and dependencies safely running and secure. The second is Cardano development, which is enhancement to core features such as the ledger consensus networking and the node itself. The third is market drivers, which are technology that is required to keep Cardano competitive amongst other blockchains. And finally, community appeal and technology with core dependencies, which has mass appeal from the ecosystem, as shown through prioritization feedback, and which would benefit from delivering. And in addition, we would say that all core infrastructure that is being supported must, first of all, be open source, second, be transparent and open to feedback, adjustment, and reprioritization as necessary. So you're not being asked to make decisions for a complete period of time necessarily. It should be possible to reprioritize work in the course of the execution of that work. It shouldn't create long-term financial benefit to a specific person or organization, so it should be done for the good of the community. And it should provide low barrier to inclusion or educational opportunities for the community. So these are the criteria that we would expect to be applied to core infrastructure work. What criteria would we expect to apply to any proposal? So first of all, the importance. Is the project maintaining essential core infrastructure? If it is, it's very important. Is the project as a whole needed? So does it align with community agreed roadmap? Are all the sub-projects needed? And do they also align with the community roadmap? Are they considered to be high priority by the community? How well supported is the project? So what's the general evidence of interest in the project? How much interest is there from specific communities? And also, is there any overlap? In what ways should both proposals be considered? So here you might need to dive into some technical evaluation because things that can apparently overlap may not in practice, or there may be complex interdependencies between two different proposals. So these are things that we would consider to be essential as part of any proper technical evaluation. Second thing to consider, technical quality. So does the project as a whole make technical sense? Is it feasible? Are there elements that may be infeasible? And if so, there should be gating to make sure that they're properly considered early on in the project. Are all the outcomes defined precisely? And so you can judge the success of the project. Have SRL, software readiness levels, or equivalent been used to precisely identify the initial and final states of development? And milestones coming from that. Are all milestones explicit and sensible? Are all the SRL stages necessary? Are milestones provided the map to each SRL in the TSC chart? And we'll come back to that later where needed. Do sub-projects link together properly? Continuing, will there need to be adjustments to the structure of L1, Cardano L1? If so, is it included in the project proposal? Have all risks been identified and mitigations considered? And these could be technical or social risks, including those of security and performance where appropriate. Will the project deliver a system that is robust, reliable, and resilient? This is essential for Cardano, of course. And how is that determined? Is security properly considered? Will necessary security audits be carried out? And is security primary or just secondary? If the goal is to do development without considering upfront security goals, what you'll have at the end of the day is something which is potentially insecure, not deployable. So you can't have security as a second-class citizen, of course. Dependencies, are all technical dependencies identified, including with other teams and projects? Have integration, rollout, and deployment been properly considered? And if not, how are they going to be addressed? Is the proposal consistent with the current constitution? Because if not, there will need to be some constitutional changes. So that is technical quality, incredibly important. Then you need to consider the appropriateness of the effort. Has the project allocated too much effort? Is it bloated? Conversely, is too little effort allocated, making the project almost impossible to complete? And you need to consider this for each of the sub-projects as a whole, if there are sub-projects. Has suitable thought been given to how this will be integrated in Cardano? What about knock-on effects in tooling, user experience, etc.? Have they been considered? And is it the intention the community will take on maintenance in the long term? Because if so, there's an impact in the either in the current project or in future budget proposals. Team quality. Does the team collectively have the skills and experience that are needed to carry out the work? And this may boil down to individual developers, not just the organization. And so individual developers are incredibly important in carrying out high quality work. If there is expertise that is needed, the team does not have, and has it been identified? If it has, how does the team plan to source the required expertise? Will they need help against specialist resources, either in the community or wider? Can the team attract additional members, replace members if necessary, to cover gaps, for example? What projects has the team carried out before? They've been completed to a high standard. Are they similar in scope to the proposed work? Are they of a similar scale, or is the team stretching itself? So these are things you need to be aware of when evaluating the quality of a team that's involved in a core development proposal. And the good news is there are many excellent development teams that have already been involved in Cardano over a period of some time. So you shouldn't need to pick and choose. There should be plenty of options out there. Finally, does the project, fifth, does the project represent good value for money? Prioritizing technical quality over pure financial cost. And fair return is reasonable, but obviously an excessive return is not, so that needs to be judged. Do any adjustments need to be made to make the project provide good value? You need to consider financial aspects. Are all costs properly identified and explained? Will the project be properly audited? Will you be able to verify that effort has been properly deployed? What happens to any unspent funds? Do they get returned, or do they just go to the supplier? And does the supplier have enough depth to fund cash flow requirements? 7, commitment, incredibly important. Is the supplier fully committed to the project? What's going to happen if they pull out? And have they shown a willingness for long-term commitment? Or are they just in it for the short term? So you need to gauge, is there a long-term commitment from the project proposer? Finally, if this is a critical project, is some other supplier able to replace them if they do fail or withdraw? And obviously there might be additional expense, so that needs to be factored into any budget consideration. So last point to consider, any essential changes, essential changes need to be made to the project, and are they possible? And don't accept the project, of course, if it's not possible. Thank you.
Okay, spot on, Kevin. That was great on timing. Thank you so much for this guiding presentation.